All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. It is Wednesday, January 10th of 2024 here. Looking ahead, we have an 8-game NBA slate today. If you guys are playing PGA, PGA tees off tomorrow here, so it should be a good day to get in your PGA lineups. That way you don't miss it with the early tee time tomorrow. And then over in the NHL streets, we have a 10 gamer was yesterday. Today, we have a 3-game NHL main slate. So plenty of DFS for you guys today. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions. You get your questions in one of 3 ways here. First off, send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Second, post it live in the YouTube chat. Third way, post it in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord and want to get access to that channel, there is a link in the description of this video. You get access to our similar channels, individual sport channels, and you get access to the rest of the SaberSim team here. So can't say enough about the Discord here. And we actually released a big update today, guys. Wanted to make everybody aware of it. If you guys missed it in the channel here, Matt posted it about an hour ago saying we just released a massive update to our NFL Showdown ownership /field/dupes model just in time for the playoffs. The process for predicting NFL Showdown fields has been completely reworked from the ground up and is much, much more accurate at predicting dupes, both on the individual lineup level and in terms of overall distribution, which is the top projected dupe lineups will now be much closer to the actual top dupes. There are now projected fields and ownership for all 13 contest type buckets. Just like with the main slates, each of these fields was back tested and modeled specifically for that contest type based on our historical contest data. Our ownership fields are now 20,000 lineups instead of 10,000 lineups, while the big improvement here is our dupe prediction. Our player ownership projections themselves are also much more accurate with this change. Coming soon, similar improvements to NBA Showdown and more. So I just want to make everybody aware of that big update. You can see it if you head over to the SaberSim app here and pull up one of the showdowns for the weekend here. So make sure to jump into the app, check those things out. But just so you guys know, we are always working to improve our models, improve our product, and get the ball rolling here. So we're going to jump into our regularly scheduled office hours, but just wanted to make everybody aware of that update here. And then really quickly, before we jump into our first question here, one question from Neil said, any idea when we're going to get details on the free roll for the minimax challenge? I was told emails started going out about an hour ago. So be on the lookout for emails. We had a lot of people participate, like close to 200 people. So we have a ton of people to send emails to. So those are on the way now, and that process has already started. So happy to provide that update there. All right. Next question here from Jay Sams Jr. First question of the day in the Discord. How can you find out rotations for players on a certain team? And I see a couple people jumped in here. Appreciate you guys jumping in here. But yeah, I'll call out a couple of tools. These are tools that I use regularly, and I'll show you guys, another good video here talking about these tools. But if you're trying to do some like rotation analysis, look at NBA. I talk a lot about this. If you go to playlist, if you go to last NBA season here, upgrade your NBA DFS process with this NBA research strategy, talking about all the free resources I use to dive deep into NBA each and every day. But some of those are popcorn machine. You can come in here, you can click on any individual game. You can see who started, players get subbed out, who started the second half, who finished the game. You can see, who got subbed for who. Like it looks like Marcus Smart. When he went out, it looks like Zaire Williams came in and then played like a lot of the second half there. So like that might be like a takeaway that you try to make there. You could use Court IQ, which Court IQ, it looks like they're now combined here with Fantasy Labs and what they have to offer. So this is another way. Hey, go to the Hawks. Hey, who's out today? Oh, what does their team look like when they're out? How much time have they spent on the court with these players out? And you could try and gain some insight from there. So these are a couple free tools for you guys to use. I would check those out. And then I would also check out that video that I posted in the YouTube chat here. All right. Next question here from Ruck. Question says, the question may be long, so apologies in advance. I just watched the episode of Max called Balancing Uniques with Win Rate from Week 4 NFL. Great episode. Showdown isn't really a strength of mine, even though I had great results this year for the 150 minimax. I more or less just sort by each pre-built SaberSim metric and lock the top 15 to 20 lineups from each. Doing this, I make sure I get the top 15 to 20 from each pre-built metric. I don't really do much else, but I want to because I feel like I am leaving ROI on the table. And then second part here says, in the video you mentioned maybe building 75 good lineups with more of a chance of dupe and then another 75 of less likely duped via salary filtering for geo mean, ROI, product ownership. Love this idea, but am unfamiliar with geo and product owned. Could you touch on those and show an example of how to implement that? Great question here. So we do have a very, very handy tutorial, which I do want to call out first. So if you go to our support library, go down to frequently asked questions, click view more, and then you type in geometric here. So you get this video, how do ownership product and ownership geometric mean work. So I'm going to plug this first here, respond directly to you in the Discord, drop it in the YouTube chat for anybody that wants to check that video out here. And this is a 4-minute video. I did it myself, talking about sub-ownership, product ownership, geometric mean, give an example, show how they're different, show how to apply it across all plans for SaberSim, standard, pro, ultimate, etc. here. So this is a great video. Now, in order to do that, the TLDR of it, just really quickly here, is on standard, you could always set a rule, a lineup aggregate rule here, and then say my own geometric mean, no more than X here. And then the video will show you how to figure out what you want this number to be. Or if you have already built lineups, like if you're on like the pro plan, the ultimate plan, and you want to do this in the post build rather than as a rule, first thing you got to do, create a custom metric that allows you to see the geo mean of each lineup. So you do that in the lineup sorting metrics. Go through that here real quick. So you go to your sorting methods. I already have one created, but you would add a new metric. You can name it whatever you want. I name mine geo mean for easy reference. Then you go down to my own product geo mean, and then you do the value. So the value is going to look at the ownerships, complete the calculation, and then return a score. So the geo mean of this lineup is 28.89 here, okay? So that's how you do geo mean. And then from there, once that custom metric is created, then you can go and filter, and it's going to be a filtering option for you. So that is an overview of geometric mean here. Check out that video, and it will show you the rest that you need to know about how to apply it here. All right. Good question there. Next question here from RB1 Smitty. Reminds me of 21 Jump Street. All right. New user, mainly NFL 20 max and single entry, struggling to understand how tweaking minimax and ownership helps me arrive at player percentages and exposures, the difference between exposure and ownership, and the best way to arrive at my exposure levels. Also not sure if this is a rule thing, but what if, say, I want to use player 1 and player 2 in X% of lineups if a certain condition is met, a specific QB, etc., like part of a player block in NFL. Okay, so let's handle this first part first. So if I go over to Saturday, go over to NFL, just do DraftKings here. We'll do the Saturday to Monday slate. So let's say here where I would say something like group, I would do probably manual here, just a specific example. I would change use to if. And then I would say if at least one, and then I'm going to pick a quarterback, so Dak Prescott, then use at least two, because that was kind of the example he said, like, hey, I want to use player 1 and player 2 if a certain condition is met. And then what I would do here, you also do say in X% of my lineups. We'll talk about that after. But first I would do this rule where, like, hey, if Dak, then use, CeeDee Lamb and somebody else from the Cowboys. I don't know. Let's go with the pass catcher, Jake Ferguson, right? So like, hey, I want a certain number of lineups where if I have Dak, I want these two guys. Okay, I would save that rule. Now, if you wanted to do this in X% of your lineups, then you would have to use the favorites feature. So then what I would do here is I would build some lineups with this example, okay? So I'm going to run this, and then We're going to get it going here. And then what I would do here is I would send these, say I'm building 40 lineups. I'm playing 220 maxes, okay? Now I want half of my lineups to be like this. So then what I would do here is I would go into my 20 lineups. I would leave it at 20, even though I need 40. I would basically make sure that Dak Prescott is the only quarterback that I'm using. So then I just go to Dak, and then I go over to my minimax exposures. I go to 100% here, and then I hit apply. And then now I have Dak in 100% of my lineups. So then I use the favorite icon. So I say, hey, I'm going to favorite these lineups. If I go here, you notice that the star turns green. That tells me there's lineups here. So then now when I come up here and I open this up, boom, I have 20 lineups that are all that type. Then what I could do is go open a second build here, turn off that rule, make sure that rule is off, build 20 regular lineups, send those to the favorites. Now I have my 40 lineups in my favorites. And then from here, I can go and save them to my contest. So that is one way to use the favorites and the rules, combine all the lineups together, and then submit them into a contest. Now, some of the other questions that you had here, understanding the difference between exposure and ownership. So that one, so understand that ownership is the percentage that we expect the field to roster a player at. So Dak Prescott's ownership is 18.46. So what we're saying is that on average, we think that about 18% of lineups in the contest are going to have Dak Prescott. Exposure is how many of your lineups he's in. So if we're looking at 20 lineups and he's in all 20, well, then that's 100% exposure to Dak Prescott, right? So minimax exposures control how many lineups the player is in your set of lineups. Exposure is how much we expect the field to have, which then leads me to leverage here. Leverage is exposure minus ownership, telling you basically how over or underweight the field you are on a particular player, okay? All right, good questions there. Question from AK. Question says, curious as to why we change projections to adhere to DK requirements rather than just unchecking an already out player. In most cases, that allows you to move forward without changing projections at all. Honestly, guys, when we did this process, we sat here on the phone with a DK representative and walked through what is allowed, what is not allowed. So making the 2 projection adjustments is what they said was okay. And I'm assuming that they just said this other one was not an okay thing because it is kind of a workaround. So we strictly adhere to the DraftKings compliance rules. All right. Question from Sammy. Question says, hey, Andrew, I've asked last season for golf that making a rule using win percent was not working. Any timeline on that? Because I've tried last week and it did not work unless I was doing something considering all the new features that have been added throughout the year. Thanks. Okay, Sammy, man, what I will do here is I will go and look at that. I'm actually going to respond and just say like, hey, can you give me some more details about what isn't working so I can check on that. And then I'll be happy to double back and see what's going on there. Appreciate it. I just don't remember off the top of my head. All right, last question in the Discord here from Black Mamba. Hey, Andrew, by chance, can you go over the process of creating a column on the main dashboard? Yeah, for sure, man. So if you're on the Pro and Ultimate subscription tier, guys, you have the ability to upload custom data. This can be anything that you want that we don't have here in the app that you want to add here. So the way that you would do that is you would go to the upload icon, which is right here, and then you would upload some data. And then when you do that, in the drop down here, you go to add custom column. And then when you do this, you can name it whatever you want. So then if I want to say, my score, whatever, I can name it whatever I want. And then once you hit save, it's going to populate here and it's going to be an editable column like my own or minimax exposure with the name that you've given the column. So that is how you add custom data to the app. All right, jumping over to the YouTube chat. Question from Noah. I just can't seem to cash in NHL, but I love the sport. Can you show on today's slate a quick process is it best to grab stacks on a 3-game slate? Okay, so if you're looking for help on NHL, my man, the truth is I'm the wrong person to ask. So where I would go is go and listen to our experts here. If you listen to it once, listen to it again. You're going to learn something new each time you listen to it. And those concepts are going to become more apparent the more and more you consume it, right? So check out these 2 videos, how to beat NHL DFS in 2023. And then check out the contest review show I did with Scott. It was really an interview for me on my side, interviewing Scott about how to go through a good contest review process. So if you're struggling, man, reviewing your lineups each and every day, seeing what you're doing, seeing how your lineups are grading out, comparing that to players who are doing well in the contest, seeing what they're doing is going to be the best way for you to get better here. And then also check out this video, review your results and study the pros. This works for all sports. You can do this for NHL. Go and look at people maxing out the flagship on any night. See what their lineups look like. Look for familiar names. Go and look at Nerdy Tenor's lineups. I think Giant Squid plays NHL. Like, go and check out some of these top pros, see what they're doing and how that compares to what you're doing. So that's going to be my best advice here. Sean said, does the update also count towards SaberSim Classic? It does not. So we have SaberSim Classic up here in the app for you guys to use. Honestly, guys, it's going to get discontinued one day. It is going to go away. All of our attention for updates, bug fixes, new features is all on the new version of the app here. So I would spend time learning how to use it because one day we are not going to support that any longer. All right, scrolling down here in the YouTube chat, RB1 said, great job. Thank you. Happy to help, my man. A question from Sal. Will the latest update to the dupes have any effect on my current geo-mean rules? No. What it's really doing is more accurately projecting ownership, dupe rate, etc. here. And by having more field lineups, that's also going to help us to be more accurate. So it's not going to affect your geo-mean rules. It will probably just make everything a little bit more accurate as to what lineups we expect to be duped. That helps a lot with our contest sims and the ROIs that you get on the other side and all that great stuff. So it's really good update. It won't affect any of the rules you currently use. But all right, everybody, we are all caught up with questions in both the Discord and the YouTube chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we will be right back here tomorrow, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern for our next show. So until then, everybody, take care. Good luck. I'll see you all. Thanks. Bye.